Welcome back to Take Action News with David Shuster. This is executive producer Daniel Marins, finishing out our show here where I am guest host because David Shuster's on paternity leave. That sound normally signals the start of my segment at the end of the show, how it should be, but this week, my co-host, Cole Stangler, the staff writer for In These Times, is going to do that segment. Cole, take it away.
Right, Daniel. So I want to talk a little bit about the war on terror. I think that one of the most bipartisan policies across the board here over the last 11 years, going back to 9/11, has been the war on terror. It's this idea that Islamist-inspired terrorism constitutes a major threat to American national security, to American interests, that this threat operates unconventionally and as a result requires an unconventional response and also requires an enhanced presence abroad. This idea that our military operations abroad, whether they're covert and non-covert, that they know no borders, that the state needs to be devoting additional resources to ensure the effectiveness of these programs. This idea goes largely unchallenged. But I think an array of recent developments, beginning with the NSA scandal that we've covered on this show, the implications that the PRISM program and all those programs have when it comes to our civil liberties. A recently published excellent piece of journalism by Jeremy Scahill on the covert operations from the United States abroad, in addition to the massive amount of military spending that's included in the National Defense Authorization Act that just passed this week in the House, I think serve as a great, these confluence of factors remind us of how deeply misguided and dangerous the foundational assumptions of the war on terror are, whether it's civil liberties, whether it's the legal implications of the covert operations, even if it's a simple moral and economic perspective coming up with the massive amounts of spending. So just go over that. I mean, putting aside debates over Edward Snowden and his motives, the NSA scandal reveals to what extent the war on terror has beefed up a massive, unaccountable security apparatus, the likes of which have never been seen before, frankly, in American history. So whether or not you believe this practice is even legal or not under the Patriot Act, I think there's no question that it's invasive, it's a threat to privacy, and is a really startling development. Tangentially, in a related development, Jeremy Scahill, an excellent journalist at The Nation magazine, has published a book and also a film called Dirty Wars, which documents really extensively the unconventional operations, usually involving the Joint Special Operations Command, taking place in Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, up to 30 other countries across the world. So we know about the drone warfare that's included as part of this. It's killed thousands of civilians, which is very questionable from an international law perspective. And also, one of the key takeaways from the film, they've contributed to what Malcolm X famously called the blowback theory of international relations, which is you don't have to go to Georgetown or work for a think tank in Washington to understand this, which is the idea that these kind of policies are creating the very enemies that the policies are designed to fight back against, that we're creating more terrorists every day with these kinds of policies. And meanwhile, despite the relative lack of media attention this issue has received, the U.S.'s non-covert war in Afghanistan is still raging on. Tens of thousands of innocent Afghanis have been killed, thousands of American troops. So even if you're not compelled by the human costs, which on principle I think should be enough, one should certainly be compelled by the economic costs of this. Up to over $600 billion have been spent in Afghanistan. At its peak, it cost $2 billion a week. And yet you had the NDAA passing by a wide margin, which actually increased spending in large part for this war, went up $5 billion from last year. So I think this can help serve as a wake-up call. So I think all of these factors that are in the news right now, whether it's the NSA scandal and the broader assault on civil liberties that this helps to reveal, the extent of the covert operations that are finally beginning to see the light of day thanks to the excellent reporting by Jeremy Scahill, and also the fact that we're continuing to spend money on this war in Afghanistan that Congress is voting for here, while we're cutting food stamps, while we're cutting social programs that people depend on. And this is a war that more than 60% of the American people are opposed to. That if all these factors here, if they don't contribute to an outright change in policy, which, let's be honest, is not going to happen, at the very least, one hopes that this will contribute to a broader rethinking, to a challenging of the core foundational assumptions of the war on terror and these kinds of policies. And this is something that hasn't happened in earnest yet, but I think it could be happening right now with with this confluence of factors. And this is also what Edward Snowden wanted when he released his documents, when he leaked the documents documenting PRISM, when he said he talked about a debate that triggering among citizens around the globe about what kind of world we want to live in. And so these factors, we'll see how things shake out, but that's how it should be.
All right. Cole Stangler, everybody. Read his stuff at inthesetimes.org. Where's it com? In These Times Mag.
InTheseTimes.com, yeah.
InTheseTimes.com. In These Times Mag. I encourage you to subscribe, folks. It's a nonprofit magazine.